Well, it's becoming interesting in the presidential race in the opposition National Democratic Congress, as some women organizers have also thrown their full support for Dr. Kwabena Duffuor after 16 regional chairpersons publicly did same for John Dramani Mahama yesterday. The women's wing of the NDC in the Ashanti region, where Dr. Kwabena Duffuor hails from, say he has distinguished himself in the leadership roles he's occupied and needs to be elevated to the flag bearership level of the party and subsequently the president of the republic. Ashanti Regional Women's Organizer Gloria Hoji has been indicating that Dr. Duffuor has the solution to the sufferings and pains in the country, a reason that has informed this latest decision.
Ashanti Regional Women's Wing. And he decided this year, he better form some papa Dr. Kwabena Duffuor. And I buy and so what the am I? See, we dear dance, you say NDC party, you say Democratic Party, ampa. Yadamase. And the Modiamaye, you be my papa Dr. Kwabena Duffuor Saka. Now, obey Bibian so pepe. Yes, I dear ba. I bet too many. Na mo hwehwe mu wi a menim say nyame ne pa nkunimdie beba na nkunimdie no so ba e NDC na adu nkunimdie esan say konkese na da nim 2024 no ehia kokoduro ye do akoko etina ma ya sorry e ma na ye brekese e wo grassroots enti ye ba ni aba beboa ye da mo ase nyame hira mo se mo age ye fa so.
Well, so that's the situation. We'll be hearing from Dr. Kwabena Duffuor, who's promising to restore the economy within 2 years if given the mandate. But first, let's hear from the campaign team, which is unperturbed about the declaration of support by some chairpersons and MPs for John Dramani Mahama. Antonio Ademashinyo is spokesperson for the Dr. Duffuor campaign team.
Those that picked the form for Dr. Kwabena Duffuor are the grassroots.
Yes.
This election is about the branch executives, about the constituencies.
Yes.
Like I said, it is not going to be business as usual. We are not going to have formal appointees and beneficiaries impose a candidate. The grassroots will make a decision, and that decision is going to be today. So yes, they are free. They are free to support whoever they want to support. The people or the voices to support whoever they want to support. There is no worry at all with regional chairmen.
Yes.
Some regional chairmen endorsing the party. I don't think it's all of them. That's fine. The dean does not speak for all of them. Even if it's true, I have told you, it is business as usual. In the 2020 election, this same regional chairman, 2016, is the same thing, endorsing candidates. We think that the grassroots must make the call today. And the grassroots is calling for Dr. Kwabena Duffuor. No change about that. So we are not worried. It's a competition. It's a healthy one. We will meet them. If we win, we'll work together with them. So far, we are very satisfied. The party have been very welcoming. And we are happy that we are going to have a very healthy, fair competition going forward. Because this country is, we are all bet by women, and that should be very significant to you. The power we have is from women. So if women are the majority and they are calling for a particular candidate, the party should listen. The regional chairman should listen. The entire country should listen that women are making the call now. And for us, women participation is extremely key. So if Dr. Kwabena Duffuor's candidature is empowering women to come forward, we think that's extremely important.
So how about the candidate himself? Dr. Kwabena Duffuor has been addressing party faithful after the nomination forms were submitted to him earlier today.
And to collect this form for me, I wanted to go there, but Gloria said, no, we are traveling from Kofrodia to Masi to come and collect the forms for you. Don't move an inch. That's why I'm here. Thank you. Thank you. The grassroots, the owners of the party, you are the ethos and spirit of the party. When the party was formed, there was a cardinal pillar. Today is being demonstrated. The pillar was what? Power to the people. Today you walked, went to the party headquarters and collected the forms. By doing that, we have demonstrated that we are the people. The power is ours. We getting the forms. We are going to give to this man to come and contest. I am contesting. I have accepted. When the party was formed, at first, yes, the grassroots were very powerful. Of late, you have been relegated to the background, as if you don't matter. But you matter, the power is yours. That was the reason why I sent Ahoto down there. That with Ahoto, we'll be able to empower the grassroots. You will be powerful financially to manage your constituencies. When we come to power, there will be more in the constituencies in the rural areas. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, except of what transpired earlier today, Dr. Kwabena Duffuor himself making some remarks there. But for now, the battle line is drawn for 4 individuals, as we know them, contending to lead the opposition National Democratic Congress in its quest to recapture political power. 3 individuals are giving the 2020 flag bearer of the party, John Dramani Mahama, a run for his money, with some of the candidates pushing for a fresh face to, of course, govern the affairs or manage the affairs of the party in the next election. So let's just give you a breakdown of what we know so far about the candidates going into this context, shall we? So we start off with the man who's been former president before, now making a comeback, John Dramani Mahama. Here's what we know so far. Obviously, he's been leader of the country before, but in terms of profession, he's a historian, a writer as well, and a communications expert. John Dramani Mahama, between 1997 and 2009, was member of parliament for Boli Bamboy, and then served at some point as deputy minister for communications. There's also a shift from that position to the substantive position. In 1998, he became the communications minister and exited office in 2001. He then became the NDC's presidential candidate in 2016, of course, having served from 2012 all the way to the 2016 elections, and repeated that contest in 2020, where he lost to President Akufo-Addo twice. He's making a comeback, and that form was picked on his behalf by Joshua Alapi yesterday. Let's get to the next candidate that we know. We know of Kojo Bonsu, and Kojo Bonsu is a former mayor of Kumasi. He's also, of course, now a flag bearer aspirant of the NDC. This is not the first time he did that. He attempted in 2018, pulled out and said he was going to throw his support behind any individual that will emerge as the party's 2020 flag bearer. He's now back into the race, but we know him to be a football lover as well. Wanted to lead the Confederation of Football Associations, GFA, in 2003. He lost to Kwesi Nyantechi. And one time, of course, when the NDC was in power between 2009 and 2015, Kojo Bonsu was serving as a board member of GOIL, which is an energy, of course, fuel company, as we all know it to be. So these are the profiles of the individual who's contending with John Mahama, the 2020 flag bearer of the NDC as well. Then comes Dr. Kwabena Duffuor. Here's what we know. He was a former finance minister, former governor of the central bank, named one of the 4 best central bank governors in the world at an IMF World Bank meeting in 1999. He was then founder, of course, and chairperson of the Holdings. He still is, and of course, contributed immensely to the formation of the Institute for Fiscal Studies. He remains, of course, he was one-time president of that CSO as well, and he's the founder of Unibank, which was controversially collapsed in 2018. So comes with a lot of finance background, and that has been his trump card, indicating that where the NDC seeks to go, of course, they are heading into very difficult debates with the NDC, with the NPP on the economy. So that's why he believes he's the best candidate. But NS Kweku Kobia is the latest individual joining the race. In fact, we never saw him, no signs of this individual, but he sprang up. And yesterday, we were on the platform where we're interacting with him. He says, well, I'm a business person. I'm just coming in to make some changes and to ensure that we have a fresh face going into the elections. Whatever the outcome will be, this businessman, 43-year-old, a Ghanaian who's living in the UK, says he will support the party regardless of the outcome. In fact, donate more cash, more funding to the NDC, regardless of the outcome of this NDC presidential race. So 4 individuals as we know them. But what are their chances? What do they bring on board? And what are we likely to see if either, of course, emerges victorious? So we have John Mahama, we have Dr. Kwabena Duffuor, but of course, we know of so many 2 other individuals who are definitely of course, contending with John Mahama. So I want to bring in Antonio Edem. Antonio Edem speaks for the Duffuor campaign. We're also being joined by some other individuals who are helping us with this discussion to analyze the individuals. Mohammed Al-Hassan is with the Kojo Bonsu camp. Then we know of Aliu E.A. Zomra. He's spokesperson for the NX Kweku Kobia campaign team. I'm also being joined by Benjamin Kwashi, who obviously believes that John Mahama should be retained. He will tell us why shortly. But let me start off with you, Antonio, since you are in studio with us. Today was your day, if I could describe it that way. Of course, we saw Dr. Kwabena Duffuor very elated that women organizers or leading, the grassroots had to pick up the form and send that to him. What was striking about having these women pick up the form on behalf of Dr. Duffuor?
Thank you, and good day to the viewers. Today was our day, as you stated.
Right.
What's striking about the day is that we are having a grassroots, the women who are very pivotal in our development in our everyday life, support and endorse the candidature of Dr. Kwabena Duffuor. I mean, you just read the profiles. Right. Which one gives you or inspire confidence? Who has the experience and track record to deal with the current challenges we are facing? Clearly, I mean, there's no match. And if the NDC in their own wisdom are changing the leadership in Parliament with the reason that we need people who understand the economy to speak, for the lawyers to sit at the back bench.
This is what you're talking about, for the finance.
Exactly, for the lawyers to sit at the back bench in Parliament.
Named one time one of the 4 best central bank governors. Also is chairperson of the Holder Holdings. So quite a lot of economic...
Even let's not go far. For young people like us, we saw him in 2009 to 2012. I mean, Ghana never went to the Eurobond within that period. Within that period, Ghana experienced its best economic performance ever. Single digits for 32 months, almost 3 years.
Right.
The growth rates there, almost 5 billion in international reserves. What did other people do when they had opportunity? They'll speak for themselves. But the point is, Dr. Kwabena Duffuor's track record, experience, both in private life and public life, is evident for all to see. And for some of us, we are very confident that at this particular time where we are faced with this sad situation, I mean, the leadership is clearly clueless in how to manage the country. We think that the best person to do that is Dr. Kwabena Duffuor.
That's an interesting dynamics you're bringing on board, which has got to do with part of the reasons why the NDC has a new leadership in Parliament.
I didn't say that.
Well, I granted that interview, of course. I had a sit-down conversation with the chairperson of your party, Johnson Asidu Nketia. He was telling me that, well, a lot of matters that will feature, will be on the front burner, will be about the economy, a reason for which they're doing some changes in Parliament. Why should that translate into the flag bearership race? Some would say, well, they're doing enough in Parliament.
I mean, we are running on executive presidency. The president is everything. And in situations where you had the president leading from the front, and when I say the president leading from the front, the president understanding exactly what the economic details are and not necessarily sitting and being advised by experts and he having to make the decisions. Right. We think that we have experienced that before under Professor Mills. He knew what he was doing. He was a tax person. And between President Mills and Dr. Duffuor, with their experienced hands, you clearly see the performance without going to the Eurobond. In between 2013 and 2016, went to the Eurobond, we took almost 3.5 billion. Then this government has taken almost 13 billion. What has accounted for it? You can compare the records. So for us, I'm extremely confident that if we want to deal with the times that we are in, if we are looking for somebody to really turn the economy around and provide jobs for the youth, turn the economy, give us the needed leadership, the leadership we can trust.
Right.
I really do not think that the NDC has a choice in this.
Antonio, I acknowledge the profile of Dr. Duffuor, I mean, the immense experience when it comes to the economy. Are you saying that he's no match for John Mahama, who was then vice president when he was?
I mean, this is an election.
You know that question will stay you in the face.
But I'm ready to engage that, but I will allow the other team to speak for themselves.
Right. Okay.
When the former president or vice president, what he did, I mean, this election should be a track record. Right. I'm telling you what my candidate did as the leader. As a leader of the finance.
But I'm asking the question because you cannot pretend about the fact that this is a contest.
Okay, let me give you an example.
You have a lot of people going in.
Let me give you an example. And Professor Mills, in his own wisdom, he did not have an economic management team. He had an economic advisory council headed by Dr. Yamson. The finance minister was part of it. The vice president wasn't.
That's interesting. So John Mahama was not head of the economic
management team? Well, you're a journalist. You can do the research and counter what I'm saying.
Right.
I've mentioned names here.
Right.
So if the successes we chalked as a party, indeed we had everybody, in fact the grassroots can own it. But when the person that played a pivotal role in it comes to own his contribution, you cannot take that away from him. Tell us what you did and we move on from there.
Okay. Another question that will come up will be about the age of your candidate. Your party has even used age against the incumbent president, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, on several occasions. If that comes up, what will be your response, for instance?
I really don't know what you mean by our party used age against Nana. But the point is that Nana defeated us embarrassingly in 2016. There was a reason why we lost that election.
Okay.
But the most important thing I want to make is that skills and experience change nations.
Right.
Not age, what have you. I can give you, if you look at Professor Mills was almost seen as not too good and old, but he had the best economic performance. So what I can leave you with that is skills and experience change nations, not age.
Okay. Yesterday, when the forms were being picked up on behalf of John Mahama, some say that was a statement to say the system, the establishment of the NDC appears to be in favor of this gentleman. You have all regional chairpersons of the NDC declare support for one candidate. Did you hear about that?
I think I saw that, and I saw the former aspirant, I think Professor Joshua Alabi, who
also
contested. I mean, he said all sort of things, questioning the leadership of the former president. But so I find it quite curious why he's the one leading the campaign. But it's a democracy, it's granted. This is my personal opinion, even though I speak for the campaign.
Right.
Ideally, elected officers should not be seen supporting candidates.
You feel it's unhealthy?
I feel it's, I don't think it's right. But the rules of the game say that individuals can support candidates in their individual capacity. So we saw leaders and even some MPs calling for some form of coronation, whatever, which is not going to happen anyway. The rules of the game allows them, so you can't fault them. But in my personal opinion, I really do not think that elected officers should be seen and endorsed, because the candidates will be coming to you. You need to welcome them and give them a listening ear. But if you are declaring stance, it clearly makes the competition unhealthy. But this is the twist to it. If you realize the same thing was done in 2016, the same thing was done in 2020, where a form of coronation was done, former appointees. And the same strategy is being done now. A particular candidate meeting former appointees who have benefited from his administration, what have you. The question is, what did they do for the grassroots when they were there? This should be about a grassroots election. And embarrassingly, on 2 consecutive elections, we've not been able to collate results under the same leadership. We've changed party leadership in the period, but do not change the head. It does not make sense to me in a way, respectfully. So I do think that, yes, they can support, but they should look themselves and be accountable to the people they tend to lead. The grassroots should matter in this election. And that's why this election, Dr. Duffuor has situated it for the grassroots. The branch executive, the constituencies are the ones going to make the decision. But most importantly, Dr. Duffuor, and I'm sure you've heard about his Ahonto project, the current chairman of the NDC, when it was being launched at the party office, this states that the party has never experienced such an investment. This is a man who really believes that economic empowerment, empowering the grassroots economically enables them to fully participate in the internal democracy of the NDC and the country at large. And I do think that this is something that we really need to listen, learn from Dr. Duffuor and take it forward. The party can do way better than it's doing now. And I'm very confident that the grassroots is going to make the decision.
We'll be talking about some of the promises he's made to even the grassroots of the party, and not just to Ghanaians. He believes that the party needs to be empowered first. We'll talk about that shortly. But let me pick up the thoughts of Benjamin Kwashe as well. And Ben, we've not seen this in a long time. All party, regional party leadership, chairpersons, declaring support for one candidate ahead of primaries, presidential for that matter. That could divide the party, don't you think so?
To you and to our distinguished viewers. I think President Mahama has always been a grassroots person. If you talk about the grassroots of the party, they are represented by national executives that they elect, which includes the chairman of all the regions. And I think that they just did the right thing that they had to do in picking up the forms for the former president. And we need to put on record that the former president didn't decide on them picking the forms for him. This is a coalition that came up as a result of the good works President Mahama has done. The regional chairmen have realized that apart from President Mahama, whom we've all called our presumptive leader, there's absolutely no other candidate among the four that we can say comes to par when it comes to the achievement of President Mahama. So let me put on record again that the regional chairmen represent the party at the regional level and down spiral to the branches, to the constituencies. My good friend has just indicated that it's about the grassroots elections. Absolutely, we agree. It's about grassroots elections. So President Mahama and his team are going to do everything possible and have continually. We've not seen any individual in the party that has continually been a grassroots person than President John Dramani Mahama. And I think it's just right that the regional chairmen have endorsed this and said, look, as a grassroots person, we will join in coming together and take up your nomination forms.
But then how about party unity? You are saying, well, it's good for one candidate, but party unity, there will be a challenge there, you agree?
I have always maintained this. I remember when we went for Congress, there's always a competition when it comes to democracy, and whether we like it or not, at the end of the day, one person wins and we all come together to support that person. But what we shouldn't do as an NDC party as a whole is that we should not run down any of the candidates. We should ensure that the bigger picture is for us to be able to wrestle power from the NPP administration and to also indicate that we want to take the Ghanaian people from the economic doldrums that they find themselves in. We believe in one person that can do this easily for us, and we believe it's President Mahama. The unity of the party has never been cardinal to any of these four leaders when it comes to President Mahama and what he has done to ensure the unity of this party. President Mahama has unified every other branch of the party in terms of differences that arose from our party's Congress, our party's conference. Everything that happened, we saw how President Mahama showed leadership. This leadership quality is what is going to win us the 2024 elections. This is what is going to help us to unite the front and all the other branches of the party and ensure that we come up.
But it's about track record. Just look at the last 2 points there for John Mahama. He's lost 2016, lost 2022, President Akufo-Addo. And that's why Antonio, for instance, believes, well, let's try Dr. Duffuor. After all, he has what it takes in terms of the economic, track record, economic management. He has that track record to deliver.
Yeah. We are here today because somebody said we should try him. President Nana-Addo came to us and said we should try him. We are here as a nation today because somebody said there's somebody who is there that you've given chances to, give me also a chance. Today, will Ghanaians be able to take back those words and say that it is worthwhile trying somebody?
Yeah, but the case is different now, isn't it? When you have an who's been there before within your own political party, the figure speaks loudly
the
for
figures
him.
Speaks for themselves. We went into an election, we lost the elections. We've realized that there were things that needed to be done. You've heard former President Mahama always come out candid and say, there are A, B, C, D things that I did that I thought if I was given another chance, I'll do it right. Look, President Mahama has his own flaws. We saw President Mahama do magnificent things that brought relief to the Ghanaian citizenry. Now, there are other things that President Mahama did that the Ghanaian people felt like they were not necessary at that time. Today, the Ghanaian people will tell you that if President Mahama was there, we would not be facing these economic challenges that we are facing. You see, my only point that I want to reiterate, and I want us as a party to always take cognizance of, is that this election is about the grassroots. This election is about the economy of the country.
So exactly, you're making the points for the Duffuor campaign team, isn't it?
I'm coming there.
Right,
it's about it's about the economy. It's about the country. This is a president that had been the leader of the economic management team before. I'm being told right now that President Dr. Duffuor was also a member of those committees when President Mahama was the vice president. President Mahama's track record in terms of, he was the leader of the economic management. He has never taken credit for everything that has happened. He has said it was a collective effort by the committee. It was a collective effort by all the party functionaries that were given those positions to manage our economy.
And Antonio disagrees with you on that point.
Antonio just indicated quite a while ago that under President Mahama, we lost 2 elections. We couldn't even collate our party results.
And he argues that, yes, right.
Okay. My point is simple.
President
Mahama was not, there was no economic management team that period. That's what I stated. What Professor Mills did was an economic advisory council headed by Dr. Yamsen.
That's your argument.
Are you disputing that?
Antonio, I'm saying that you said we couldn't collate presidential results because at that time, President Mahama was the leader, and you are asking. I will respond.
I'll respond to that, but I needed you to correct the fact that there was no economic management team.
Can I make a point? Can I make my point? When you were talking, I just allowed you to.
I'm sorry, bro.
Yes. So, Antonio, you remember that if you say President Mahama presided over a party that couldn't collate results, President Mahama wrote at the back of the party, the NDC party. At that time, your candidate that you sponsored during the last Congress, former chairman of Oswampofu, was the leader. Why are you not saying it? Why are you not taking blame for it that your candidate that you sponsored?
Yeah, but whichever way you look at it, Benjamin, the point is he has lost the 2016 and 2020.
He's lost it, but we don't apportion blames. As a party, we need to come up. The Kwesi report came out clearly and told us things that we've done wrong. It never said President Mahama is the only person that made mistakes. Other aspects of the party also made general mistakes, and everybody has learned from it. We went to Congress, we've elected new executive, we've seen the dynamic shift, we've changed our caucus in Parliament, the leadership of our caucus in Parliament, and these are all geared towards a resounding victory for the NDC party.
I want to bring in the conversation with Johnson Asidu Nkita. He says that the next elections will be about the economy. Antonio says if we're fielding the best candidate, it should be Dr. Duffuor, who has, of course, expertise in that field.
The economy is critical. Like General Asidu Nkita indicated that we needed somebody who will propel our agenda in Parliament when it comes to the economy. The parliamentary front has its own agenda that they want to use in helping us wrestle power in 2024. That is their side. The party itself would also come up with committees and other advisory boards that would deal with other parts of the election. The other aspect of campaign from John Mahama's side also will come up with whatever they need to do. So it's going to be a collective effort. It wouldn't only rest on the economy of the country. There are other aspects. Infrastructure is there. There are other aspects about social development for our people. It's diverse. So in as much as the economy is key, you need to dissipate different roles to all the different agencies within the party to help us win power. And I think that is exactly what the party is working towards.
Well, Antonio wants to come in at this point, Antonio.
I mean, I've heard Ben, but there are a lot of things I need to correct. One, the person I'm supporting here is Dr. Duffuor. The only time you've heard me support any candidate is Dr. Duffuor because there's a conviction.
Right.
I think you mentioned a particular party chairman. I don't think I supported
that. Well, the belief is, your side was for well, let's leave it.
That isn't true. That isn't true.
Let's leave that aside.
Right. Again, you can run away from it, Antonio.
That's fine, Ben. I'm happy you are not disputing the fact that President Mills set up Economic Advisory Council, had some people together, the finance minister was part, there was no economic management team, which is a convention anyway, it's not in the constitution.
Right.
for the vice president to be chair. So
and why is that instrumental anyway? Why is that instrumental anyway?
That's where there's wisdom in experience, in an experienced hand. So in Professor Moses' own wisdom, and because he has the practical experience and depth, he set up this, and we saw the results. So I mean, I've given you the data. We should compare what the contributions are from the individual, both in private life and public life, and the party to make a decision on. And I mean, I was expecting Ben to tell us why the NDC must file a particular candidate in this election, and he says the candidate has admitted fault. I mean, even the mindset of the candidate, there's a candidate who believes that in 2025, the fiscal space is going to be narrow, so the focus should be on constitutional review. The challenge you're facing now is not constitutional review, it's bread and butter issues. Right. And this is a candidate in Dr. Duffuor who thinks that if a leader does not doesn't even have a fiscal space, he creates it. And he knows how to create that fiscal space to generate the revenue, give jobs, and improve the economy. So, I mean, there is no competition at all in this flag bearership race, aside people's attempt to coronate. But it's not going to happen. We will talk about the issues, we'll talk about track record, and move on. You talk about collation of results. Yeah, it's a fact. I mean, some party executives they've lost elections because they were not unable to collate results. 2020, we saw a particular candidate go into a supposed coalition room. They should give us the numbers. We basically failed the grassroots. And we are not seeing that level of accountability. We are calling accountability for some people, but not others. No, it's not. I don't think it should be business as usual.
Okay, and what's next for the campaign team? What are you likely to do next in terms of your...
The campaign message is simple. We are bringing a hunter to the grassroots in order to empower them economically and politically to participate in the democratic process in our country. Dr. Duffuor is certainly going to hit the ground running from tomorrow. We will go to the delegates, which is the branch executive, constituent executive. Even those who are openly supporting other candidates, we will engage them. We'll have a conversation because we believe strongly we have a good story to tell. And in the worst case scenario, when we win, we all come together. Right. Work as a party to rescue this nation from this cruel...
Okay, let's hear from Mohammed Al-Hassan, who speaks for the Kojo Bonsu team as well. Mohammed, so you have 4 in all. Your candidate, Kojo Bonsu, believes that we need a change in the face of the NDC. Why so?
Because of the past 2 elections and how the results turned out, you would recall that 2016 and 2020 were a loss for...
Okay, it appears that Mohammed Al-Hassan is gone. Yes, but you're just making the point about how you're bringing Ahunto to the grassroots.
It's already in motion. It's something that Doug is going to continue about. From tomorrow, he's going to engage the grassroots. We would, get feedback, talk to them, and hopefully we get a buy-in and the job will be done.
Are you set to petition your party about some of the concerns that you raised about how the structures within the party, for instance, are declaring support for one candidate when they're supposed to be independent? Are we going to see some action on that?
I mean, my understanding of the rules of the game is that elected officers can support any candidate in their individual capacities. I've expressed my personal opinion. I don't think it's healthy. Ideally, they should be above the welcome everybody. But if it's happening, it's the rule of the game. I mean, your petition will not do anything.
Okay, so what's Ghana going to look like if we have Dr. Duffuor as the president? Because ultimately, that's where his campaign will land him, if indeed the people of Ghana give him the opportunity. What's on his heart, a reason for which he feels he's the one to make a change?
He's done it before, and he's willing to do it. I mean, he said it emphatically in his engagement with the media that he's going to change the situation within a year. And he knows how to do it. I mean, this is somebody who is a very consultative leader. You can check his record again as governor of the Bank of Ghana and finance minister. The business committee had confidence in him. And we need to consciously build a middle class in order to carry this country. And this is somebody who has done it and knows how to do it. The NDC really is blessed with such an individual, and why won't we support him to deliver us from this mess we find ourselves with this clueless administration? For me, I genuinely do believe if we engage the grassroots, this job will be done, and we'll be able to execute the 2024 elections and win power.
All right then. You have a message for the grassroots of the party? What would that be?
I mean, thanks all of them for their support. They can rest assured that the conversation will continue. And we know it's going to be hard work. We are ready to do it, no sleep, till May 13, when, inshallah, they would endorse the candidature of Dr. Duffuor.
And Dr. Duffuor was just talking about how, of course, they were going to the grounds. I mean, you were in the Volta region, correct? Yeah. Where next are we seeing that campaign move to?
Very soon, and a statement will be issued in that effect. But I know Dr. Duffuor is going to hit the ground running very soon. We need to fill the form and submit.
What kind of support is he getting from the grassroots, and not just the grassroots, but even rank and file of the party? Because we're seeing that publicly being done for one candidate. Why not yours? Are you able to put out names?
What you are seeing,
individuals?
What you are seeing is former appointees and endorsing a particular candidate, which they did in 2016 and did in 2020. Okay. And same results. What I'm telling you is that it's not going to business as usual. You are the party office, you are the campaign office. You saw the branch executives. That's where the votes are. That's where the real voice is. So we engage in them. In fact, we engage everybody, but the main focus on the grassroots for them to understand the situation we are in. And one interesting twist: if you check the election results, the NDC will have won the 2020 election if we put the parliamentary votes we got. But we had 50+1 votes, but our presidential candidate didn't. So clearly there's a message, there's a call for a new face. And also look at the other side. If we should lose 2024, which God forbid is not going to happen, we will be in that situation if we send the same ticket. There's a need for a change. If we've changed leadership at the party, we've changed leadership at parliament, we need to change leadership at the top in order to get this job done, to deliver these people from this trouble we are in.
Okay, I understand Alassane Mohammed is back. Alassane, you're making the point for Kojo Bonsu?
Yes, so I was saying that if we look at the past two results of the general elections, the NDC lost in the two events, which means that Ghanaians are looking for an alternative when it comes to the leader of the NDC. Of course, we're also looking at the background of Mr. Kojo Bonsu. He is somebody who is always delivering and brightening the corner where he is. I mean, from private life to his business life to public life, you would realize that he is somebody that believes in changing where he is for the better. So, looking at all these things, he stands tall, in becoming the flag bearer, and he will be able to win the elections for the NDC, especially, when the whole country is now tired of the lies of the NPP, and they are looking for an alternative that is fresh, new, vibrant, and somebody who is visionary and has seen that and done that. And that's the kind of person we have in His Excellency Kojo Bonsu.
How about the other candidates that are in the race? You have the likes of Dr. Kwabena Duffuor and John Dramani Mahama. He's been there before. He's seeking to take the party there again.
Yes, of course. They are all fantastic leaders. You can't take that out. When it comes to the leadership of the NDC, all the other candidates are fantastic. But of course, you need somebody who can better deliver his vision. They all have their vision. I'm not sure the other candidates will tell you that, okay, my vision, I want to give it to Honorable Kojo Bonsu to deliver it because I see him to be, the best person. They are all good, fantastic. They have the ideas. But of course, it's democracy. You have to sell your story. You have to tell the people what you can do. They need to believe in you. So that is why we go for elections, for delegates to actually listen to the one who best convinces them to vote. So I won't take anything out of the other candidates. They are all superb. If you look at their track record in Ghana, in politics, they have done well for this country, and they are, like I can't say, they are all brothers, they are all one family in the NDC. They are all sharing their ideas. For example, it's like mathematics. 1 + 2 is 3, okay? 4 - 1 is 3. So everybody wants to take us to the promised land, but everybody has
Mohammed?
Of the candidate best convince the delegates that, look, if we go this route, this is where we will win. The others will also want to, convince them with their story. But for us, I think that Kojo Bonsu is the best man to lead this country.
What are his chances? What is he bringing on board?
Well, it's not going to be easy. To elections is not going to be easy. So far, for the last 1 year, we've been on the ground. We've been to so many places. In fact, I don't think there's been any region we've not been on the ground speaking to delegates, because for this particular election, it is not, the one that you need to be seen on.
Okay, we've lost.
You realize hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, I can hear you, Mohammed.
Yes. So it's not going to be easy. No election is easy at all. But of course, it is the message you churn out and the kind of things you tell the delegates that you want them to believe in you. And I believe that if you're a leader, that is what you should be able to do. You should be able to convince people to follow your dream. All the great leaders, across the world, there are people who are the underdogs, but with the way they talk and convince the people about their vision, then people start to follow them. So it's not.
Okay, unfortunately, we've lost.
Especially when we have other candidates who are all very, very strong, in the party, it wouldn't be that easy. But of course, we are not living.
Okay, we need to go. Antonio, let me take your final words on this as we wrap up.
Thank you, and thanks, Ben. Thank you to Ben and Alassane. I mean, this election should be about track record.
Right.
People are basically owning their track record. I'm telling you what my candidate is doing, you are telling us your candidate did. At the end of the day, the candidates will make a choice. But for me, I'm confident that from the profile you read and the track record of the candidates and the challenges you are facing, the logic of the party itself, it clearly points to one direction, that we have the experienced hands, we are the one with the depth and practical experience to deliver us, in fact, deliver the NDC grassroots and the party and the country from this economic challenge we face ourselves in. And I'll basically call on the grassroots, the youth, the women, the regional chairman who already endorsed. I mean, they are free to change their mind, to really think through these decisions and make the right call when the time is up. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Antonio. You're with us here on The Pulse. We'll return shortly after this break.